Today we're going to discuss whether or not Easter has a pagan origin. This comes up every year around Easter time, and we're going to discuss it today. And spoiler alert, it doesn't have a pagan origin. We're going to discuss where Easter Bunny comes from, the name of Easter, a few other things, Easter eggs, and why the weird timing for Easter. Why does it move every year? Why is it related to the equinox and the full moon? All right, so let's, and we're going to try a new format today I've never tried. We're going to try to do this in chunks of each topic that can easily be broken out into short format videos. So hopefully this goes well and I can not ramble too long about each chunk and keep it within the time frame. All right, so to start out with the name Easter. It's not pagan. You'll hear a lot of times is, oh, it's from Ishtar or Orastron, however you say it. Ishtar is Middle East Babylonian god. Orashtar is supposedly a Germanic, so north of the Rhine River area goddess. So really, the name Easter is only done in Germanic-speaking countries, English, Germany, a handful of other countries. A lot of call it Pascha or some other derivative of that. It's related to the word Passover, which is where the holiday originates from, because Jesus died on Passover and to fulfill Passover. So the name got kept by a lot of groups. Anyway. Just because Ishtar sounds similar to Easter, that's an association fallacy. They have nothing to do with each other. It's just made up. There's no further explanation than that. Now, this guy called Bede or Saint Bede, in the 7th century, he wrote in a book that claimed that Ostara, was the name of a holiday, and that there was a month named after it, but there's like no proof of it. There's no primary sources of it. There's nothing. It might have been a legend he heard and rewrote, or it might have just been something he made up. We don't really know where he got that from. And then Jacob Grimm, as in the brothers Grimm, the Grimm fairy tales guys, Jacob Grimm got the idea. It's a pagan origin named after Ostrana, and he ran with it, even though he didn't have any real evidence of it, and really popularized it. So that's where we actually get the name Easter, is from the Ostranda month, something like that. It means the month of the spring. It's the 4th of July, Easter happens in the spring. This is the month of the spring. The month that Easter most often falls onto is this month in the old German language. It's kind of like when we say 4th of July instead of Independence Day. It just kind of stuck. So Pascha, the word for Passover, got changed to Easter, then named after the month. All right, we're going to go next. The Easter Bunny. All right, the Easter Bunny is not a pagan fertility god thing, idol. There's no evidence of that from antiquity. It sort of came up in the 16th century, again in Germany, and I got it written down here. 1572 is the first recording we have of an Easter hare. It wasn't even a rabbit, it was a hare. And this Easter hare was like a kid's game, fun thing, like Santa Claus. The Easter hare would bring you cool things if you were good, candy and treats and stuff like that. If you misbehaved, you got nothing. It's a lot like Santa Claus. And then when Germanic people came over, and then Dutch Germans and those kind of people came over to the United States, they brought that tradition with them, and it expanded from there. And again, this is something written about a lot by Jacob Grimm, the Grimm fairy tale guy. Him and his brother were the Grimm fairy tales guy. And he said that it was a fertility goddess, and that's where, or fertility idol, and that's where the Easter Bunny comes from. but there's no evidence of antiquity of that's where it came from. He may have been quoting some and referring to some myths at the time, or he could have just made it up. We don't know. And here's our link to the spring, because if you live more rurally, you'll see more rabbits in the spring, because they come out for winter and they're looking for food. There's no bigger link to that than that. All right, Easter eggs. So Easter eggs aren't pagan either. So Easter eggs, they come from the fact that, first off, you can't, or you're not supposed to, if you celebrate Lent, eat eggs during Lent. So they would save them up. Well, you can only save fresh eggs for so long, and they didn't have refrigeration, so they would hard-boil them. Then after Easter, they would eat all these eggs. They'd have a surplus of eggs to eat for a while. So eggs began to be associated with Easter. So in 1290, Edward I, he ordered several thousand eggs for a Easter celebration, and he had them decorated in gold leaf, and that's where we believe that coloring Easter eggs comes from, is him doing that, and then people wanting to emulate the king, and it just spreading from there. We have no evidence of any pagan cultures decorating Easter eggs or hiding Easter eggs or anything to do with that, having to do with pagan worships or anything like that. It's entirely Christian origin, and it's entirely just a fun thing. It's not really has to do with the Bible or anything. It's just a fun thing Christians came up with over time. Easter dates. Okay. Easter date, it's not pagan. The date of Easter is not pagan because it has to do with the equinox and the moon and stuff like that. So, originally, Easter started out as a Passover celebration adopted by Christians because Jesus was crucified during Passover. Well, there was some debate in the early church. Should we celebrate it every year on Passover, whatever day that lands on, or should we start celebrating it on a Sunday? Basically, the people that wanted to celebrate it on Sunday kind of won out, but they didn't say if you celebrated any other day, you'd be kicked out. You could celebrate it with the Jewish people on Passover, or you can celebrate it on this date. And because of different groups of people using different calendars spread out all over the world, they didn't have a unified calendar system. So they said, well, we want to celebrate it all at the same time. So they said, well, let's go with the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox. It just made it easy for everybody to celebrate it at the same time. And they decided this in 1325 at the Council of Nicaea. I should do a whole video on what the Council of Nicaea actually happened. Basically, they decided on the Arian heresy. They picked a date for Easter, and that was about it. They didn't pick any books of the Bible. It's like setting, they picked that date because it was convenient for everybody in the group. Some celebrated at different times, and still today I've heard people say, well, the Orthodox celebrate it wrong because we celebrate it on this day. Well, the Orthodox don't celebrate it wrong. Basically, they just use the Gregorian or Julian calendar system, and most other Christians use the Julian calendar system. And the reason that the Orthodox use the Gregorian or the Julian calendar system is because the date for Easter was picked for everybody, or decided on for everybody. A majority of people celebrated Easter the same, and then the Great Schism happened. Catholics broke and Orthodox broke off, and when that happened, or after that happened, Catholics adopted the Gregorian calendar, and then when Protestants broke off from Catholics, they kept the Gregorian calendar. Well, the Orthodox Christians, they didn't want to adopt a calendar created by a Catholic Pope Gregory. That's why it's called the Gregorian calendar. So that's everything I got. Those are the 4 things at Easter that aren't pagan, that everybody says are pagan. I hope I got everything in the time frame so I can split this up the way I want to. But basically, the Easter Bunny's not pagan. Has nothing to do with pagan traditions. The name of Easter comes from basically the German word for spring. It's like saying the 4th of July instead of Independence Day. Eggs have to do with and not pagan rituals. And the date's not pagan, it was just a convenient date for people to celebrate on the calendar. And so that way everybody could celebrate at once. It's like planning any get-together. If you like this sort of thing, if you like homesteading, preparedness, other topics like that, like when I'm done with this here stream, I'm going to go right over here and work on the new garden bed. If you like that kind of stuff, like, subscribe. You can check me out on Telegram at t.me/prepare to prosper. And have a great Easter. And I hope you spend time with some family over Easter. And hi, guy who just said hi. Remember, we prepare today so we can prosper tomorrow. See you on the next live stream. How do I end this?